Hello friends, we know that many changes are coming in the educational ecosystem, especially in today's scenario. These changes are in the form of new courses, new technologies, changed customer expectations, changed requirements of the world of work, changed job roles, etc. Institutions are trying to face these challenges and trying to adopt new strategies so that they are able to cope up with these challenges. But these initiatives sometimes do not lead to the right expectations. Why so? Because we are unable to evaluate whether the goals set by us are right or wrong, practical, in real sense achievable or not, whether the initiatives are in the right direction, whether the faculty working on these initiatives is taking the right decisions. That's the reason institutional evaluation becomes a very important part of any institutional process. Without institutional evaluation, no institution can grow, whether it is moving in the right direction, whether the initiatives adopted by us right or objective. So, institutional evaluation plays a significant role in the growth and development of any institution because it tells us the objectivity of our initiatives, the reality of our initiatives, and where these initiatives are leading to. In the presentation today, I am going to talk about the role of institutional evaluation in the success of any institution. I am sure after going through this presentation, you will appreciate the need and importance of institutional evaluation for monitoring the performance of any institution, understand the criteria of institutional evaluation, and also identify the parameters of institutional evaluation and their criteria for measurement. Let's first understand what exactly is institutional evaluation. Evaluation is a systematic collection and interpretation of evidence leading as a part of process to a judgment of value with a view to action. In other words, evaluation is a process that critically examines a program. It involves collecting and analyzing information about a program's activities, characteristics and outcomes. Its purpose is to make judgments about a program, to improve its effectiveness, and to inform programming decisions. Why we go for evaluations? There are basically three purposes: to know the adequacy, to know the plausibility, and to know the probability. These are the three bases on which we do the evaluation. Adequacy evaluation means to check whether the goals or targets set by the institution were met or not. In such an evaluation, process does not require a control group, hence it is cost, time and effort effective. As the assessments indicate progress towards the predetermined targets, hence it may become basis for increased or continued funding. On the basis of plausibility, it determines if an institution has attained expected goals. It needs an experimental control group to compare the target indicators. And on the basis of probability, it is the most robustly designed study to determine the true effect of an intervention on the indicators of interest. It looks to determine the success of a program and its activities and the outcomes. It involves more data collection and more emphasis is placed on compliance of the results. So the evaluation, as I said, is based on three criteria: adequacy evaluation, plausibility evaluation, and probability evaluation. There are some obstacles which affect the evaluation. These are part and parcel of every institution. The most common hindrances which come on the way to achieve the real objective of evaluation are lack of understanding of the functioning of an institution, lack of understanding of the institute's performance and management, lack of understanding of the purpose of evaluation, lack of understanding of the adequate techniques of measurement and procedures of judgment, lack of clarity between the desirable and achievable goals of the institute, lack of understanding between the thought process of evaluation team and policymakers of the institute, mismatch between presentation of results and implementation strategies. These are some of the hindrances to the evaluation. Then there must be some criteria of evaluation which must be understood by the evaluators, and there must be some framework based on which effective evaluation can be formulated. The criteria of evaluation differs from one to another institute or the program, but mainly revolves around following important parameters. These parameters are the mission and objectives of the concerned institute. These help the evaluators be clear about what does the institution seek to achieve. Procedure and approach of evaluators. These are dependent upon the governance process and the activities of the institution to attain its mission and objectives. Another important criteria is institutional process of self-evaluation and quality assurance to attain its mission and objectives. Then, institutional activities for its continuous improvement to enhance its performance in times to come to have competitive edge. These are the important bases on which the institutional criteria for evaluation should be formulated. Then there are some parameters of evaluation. These are based on 7 goals of the institution. These are first indicators, then areas, and then criteria. I will be explaining them in these terms. First, institutional goals and objectives. These should be time bound, specific, and observable, and areas under which we can measure it. Standards and specialization listed in the institute programs and plans. Examples: academic rate of success, academic rate, dropout rate, etc. And what type of clarity for the criteria is required, whether resources are sufficient to achieve the goals, whether goals are achievable in terms of resources. This is second indicator. Quality of student intake, facilities, financial support, etc. are the areas which can help us in measuring the resources availability, their quality, so that we are able to achieve institutional goals. Clear relationship between inputs and outputs, whether resources are of needed quality. These help us to understand the parameters based on which the institution is moving, whether it is fulfilling the criteria for the achievement of goals, resources are available, resources of quality, quantity is adequate or not. Based on all these, we try to find out whether institution is moving on the right path or not. Then comes processes of the institution, which are important. Without the processes, no institution can move ahead. These can be understood by leadership participation, teachers participation, social interactions, classroom climate, learning activities, and experiences of students, stakeholders about the institution. And the clarity can be made based on the criteria: clear relationship between process and output, smooth internal processes leading to expected outcomes, whether it is happening or not. Another indicator is satisfaction of all stakeholders. If all the stakeholders are satisfied, it is assumed that institution is moving in the right direction. So, satisfaction of the educational authorities, management, board, administration, teachers, parents, students, employers is an indicator for the growth and development of an institution. If these are satisfied, customer is satisfied, this is indicating that institution is achieving the objectives for which it has been set. So, satisfaction of all the powerful individuals, institutional constituents or stakeholders is important criteria for understanding the effectiveness, efficiency, and quality of output of any institution. Another important indicator is institutional legitimacy and reputation. This is in terms of public relations, marketing, public image, reputation, status in the community, evidence of accountability, etc. This can be judged based on this. And accountability of the institution to community, social reputation, meeting social needs, demands and requirements of stakeholders. Based on all these, we can understand whether the institution have a good reputation in the market, whether it is trying to achieve the mandate for which it has been established or not. Then another indicator which can help us to understand the performance of an institution is absence of problems and troubles in the institution. These can be understood from the absence of conflicts, dysfunctions, difficulties, defects, weaknesses, troubles, etc. happening in the institution. If these are not there or strategies are being adopted to minimize them, these indicate that institution is trying to overcome the difficulties it is facing so that the goals can be achieved in an effective manner. Then lastly, adaptation to environmental changes and internal barriers. Awareness of these in terms of changes coming inside the system and outside, knowing the impact of each of them and planning strategies can help us to understand whether the institution goals and objectives will be achieved or not. And these can be judged based on the openness and flexibility in the internal organization towards environment, internal changes and its strategies for continuous improvement, continuous planning, and success, which can be achieved based on these 7 criteria. Then there are some of the institutional assessment components. This was given by Mukhopadhyay. Basically, it is saying any institution can grow based on the trends. Trends are of enrollment, trends are of interclass transition, trends are of academic performance, non-academic performance, physical infrastructure, and for these, the analysis or the perceptions of is required from principal, teachers, parents, students, supervisors, industry. All these perceptions give us the trends about the qualitative growth of an institution, and qualitative growth leads us to understand whether the institution is able to achieve the objectives for which it has been set. And the basic tool used for this is SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis is a tool which is used for the qualitative planning of an institution. It helps us in finalizing decisions for future. It lets us know where the institution stands today and what are the thrust areas in which the institution is to work in future for the achievement of objectives. The trends, as I discussed, can be got from the enrollment, retention of the students and teachers, academic performance based on examination results, non-academic performance, and physical infrastructure, and the perceptions are of principals, teachers, parents, students, supervisors, industry, and many more. Based on these 2 trends data and the perceptions data, we can understand whether the institution is trying to achieve the objectives for which it has been set, or whether there are some lacunas, whether there are some gaps, whether they are coping up with some suitable strategies, whether they are identifying the right thrust areas. These are based on the perceptions of individuals and the trend data as discussed just now in terms of enrollment, retention, academic performance, non-academic performance, physical infrastructure. Then, in addition to evaluation of an institution, sometimes evaluation of the program is also done to understand the effectivity, efficacy, efficiency, and quality of the program. Basically, the main components of program evaluation consist of program goals, resources, human and non-human resources, processes in terms of strategies, methods, procedures, technology used, and other processes. Then program management, whether decisions are made in right time, developing strategies, organization, implementation, monitoring is there or not, controls have been used or not, and finally, ensuring effective use of inputs and processes in attainment of program goals and objectives. All these parameters have some questionable marks, and based on the questionable marks and the perceptions of different stakeholders, we understand the gaps in each, whether these can be achievable or not, whether the resources are there or not, whether these are adequate, whether means of generation of resources is there or not, whether the fulfillment of criteria is or not. These all trends help us in understanding the quality of the program, its efficacy, its efficiency. And thus, I would say, evaluation can be at 3 levels: institutional level, department or program level, course level. Why it is done? For the institution, it is done to understand the mission, goals and plans, whether these are achievable or not, or whether these are being achieved or not. And how it is done? This is done based on the data which is got from the alumni survey, senior survey, accreditation, students' performance, teachers' perception, and many more. Based on these data, we can get whether the institution is moving in the right direction, whether there are gaps, so that corrective actions can be taken in time. Similarly, at the departmental level, departmental roles, learning objectives, faculty and staff proportional goals are being seen to understand the efficacy and effectiveness of the program. These can be based on the data which can be got based on the department and program review, self-assessments, teaching evaluation, faculty self-assessments, student assessments. These data give us an indicator of the performance of the department or program. Similarly, at the course level learning, goals, objectives are evaluated to understand the effectiveness and quality of the program. And thus, I would say institutional evaluation plays a significant role in the growth and development of any institution, as it gives us a basis for decisions for future, whether it is right or wrong, is decided based on institutional evaluation and corrective actions. What type of corrective actions are to be taken in future so that the mandate, mission, objectives of the institution are achieved. This is in all I wanted to convey through this presentation. I am sure by now you must have understood the importance of institutional evaluation, what are the parameters, how it is done, and what role it plays in the achievement of goals of the institution. Thank you very much.